There we go. It says live.
Yeah.
Couldn't find the room the first time. It is. I am an old man.
And we're live on Twitch too.
Hi Twitch. Hi YouTube.
Okay, so I gave us a couple seconds to make sure we were actually streaming. Hi everybody, my name is Nash. Welcome to the 6th episode of Cabin Fever Comedy. I am delighted to introduce my fellow producer, Michael Martin. Hi. How are you doing?
Hi. Hi Nash. How are you?
Living the dream. How about you?
Hanging in there. Hanging in there.
We really do a great job at like setting the tone every week.
You know, I'm alive for now.
Stop stealing my energy.
trying to learn, trying to be better, trying to stay sane, trying to do all we can, trying to have fun with what little time we have left on this planet.
Love the energy. This is
Wow. The end of 2020.
I can't promise we'll be here or alive in 10 years, but we're here now.
This would be a great wedding.
This is what archaeology will use. Right.
Voice of a generation.
Okay, so we've got a great show for you tonight, despite that opener, which was exceptionally depressing.
Don't let me deter you. It's actually really good.
But first, a quick note. In light of recent events, we've decided to make the show a fundraiser for Black Lives Matter. We don't require donations to watch, but we would love it if you decided to. Our comics and performers donate their time. We're all here to support comedy in this and to make you laugh for a few minutes if you need the laugh. So go ahead. Michael is going to drop the link to donate for Black Lives Matter into the YouTube chat. We also have it on our website. We'll bump it from our social media. So if you follow us, go ahead and click those links. If you don't follow us, you should. Let us know if you decide to donate so that we can thank you either in the chat or in the video as we go forward. But we have a great show, so let's get started. But while we're waiting for everybody to get settled and get on the live streams, I thought Michael and I could play a fun game. I'm calling it fun, but you all just saw Michael and I open the show, so it's probably not going to be that fun. Sorry. It's called Invasive Quarantine Thoughts. Basically anything that's just been kicking around that you can't get rid of since quarantine started 1 billion years ago. Michael, do you want to give us your first one?
You know, this isn't a thought that I've thought of originally. It's a thought that I've seen occasionally over the years, and it's something I've thought about a lot about lately. I'm wondering, to keep things light, just to keep things as airy as they were a moment ago, I've been thinking about, really, like, I want to know the actual answer to how famous do you have to be before it's not a murder, it's an assassination? Like what if you're sort of famous? Like at what point, I mean, is it like a specific amount of like money you've made? Is it a specific amount of, I don't know, people that recognize you? Like what quantitative, there's gotta be a rule there somewhere.
I thought it was a political move. I thought it had to be politics.
Can it only be a politician?
No, I mean, they've said John Lennon.
Was assassinated.
Activist.
And like, what if you switch, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was political, he's back to being an actor. If someone killed him, is that an assassination or is it a murder?
Oh boy. This is my new quarantine thought. Thanks a lot.
Like I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to decide.
If their death causes change, like shifts something, right? Because like someone's assassinated when sort of they're doing something that's gonna like cause like a big shift in society. Sorry, I was a poli-sci major. Was this a serious question? Was it not?
This is the show. We are now talking about this the rest of the hour.
I feel like by the logic of the Terminator movies, if someone were to do that to Arnold Schwarzenegger, it would shift a lot of things.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all.
You've
really
never heard of another actor being assassinated. Like if somebody, you know, went after Seth Rogen, they'd be like, Seth Rogen was assassinated. Like, no, I don't think we would say that. They'd say Seth Rogen was murdered. I don't think that we'd say he was assassinated. So, it would be a huge shift in comedy, and it'd be really tragic.
It would, but I like that it was Seth Rogen because it was like, oh yeah, that felt
somebody that the kids,
but I don't know why.
Somebody the kids know that the young folks associate with. They like the Seth.
It's deep. That mine just feels dumb now.
Right.
I was just wondering what the Muppets think is happening when Jim Henson puts on socks.
Huh.
I don't have more to that. That is just all I've been thinking about.
Those are still better than mine.
What's yours?
I have 3. Okay, I'm gonna list them in order because I'm an insane person now.
Let's dissect them.
The first one, fantasy football is the most American sport that exists. It's a sport, but it's imaginary. It's online. You can drink while you do it, and you don't even get the benefits of exercise.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thank you.
And you can eat a lot while you do it. Like a fantasy football draft, honestly, you should see the spread. It is something.
And if you pay more, you do better,
That's the most American of all.
right? Quintessential. The second one is that I'm convinced that giant pandas are not real. Convinced. I've spent a lot of quarantine time watching giant pandas in zoos, and they are just men in suits.
I didn't realize there was a classification. So there's like average pandas and then giant pandas.
So giant pandas are like they're just really big, but they move exactly like if you put a guy in a giant panda suit,
Yep.
he acts like a giant panda.
So didn't we find out that Jack Black was actually in a panda suit for a while?
Oh,
Over.
did I stumble upon something?
I think he did. He did those movies.
See, that's what I'm saying. You can't tell the difference between a giant panda and a giant panda that's a man in a suit.
Yeah, but what's the motivation? Like, why hide?
For art.
Yeah.
To say that they can.
Serious.
If you ever see a bear cub standing up, it looks like a child wearing a fuzzy jacket. Like it is eerie. So I think it's like maybe not just limited to pandas.
Oh,
But if
Lots of ask.
Maybe
Does-
all
does-
bears.
Does this have to do with other animals? And does it have to only be
this
land
rabbit
animals?
hole go.
Are there fish
Yeah.
that could actually just be a guy in like a scuba suit?
Nah.
Oh my god. Giant squid debunked.
Giant squid might
Five
just
guys in a one suit, like a human centipede.
Are
be a very
animals
bored
that
guy
can
named
communicate?
Rufus
I don't
in an
understand.
enormous costume just hanging out with fish like a fucking weirdo.
We're all
I
just
hope this-
people now.
I hope there's some guy watching it just freaking out, like, oh my god, they figured
Did not.
Somebody just took some mushrooms, turned on the show, and are going, "What the fuck?" Oh,
I refuse to believe there are a bunch of humans in panda suits and so few of them are having sex, right? Because that's the whole thing about pandas.
Metrics of it are hard. You're in the suit.
Pandas 24/7. I mean, you can't say what they're doing every moment of their life. It's just when people are watching them, they're not having sex.
Plus,
might
maybe the
just-
zoos are really strict about it.
Wait, is this a known thing that pandas don't have sex?
That's
Yeah,
why
they're-
they're
they're
endangered.
endangered
They have
'cause they
very
don't-
low sex drives.
Yeah.
Especially in captivity.
Yeah.
So they made a big deal, like I feel like 5 months ago, about these two pandas, and
Finally banging on their own.
yeah.
Do they give them like aphrodisiacs or anything? Like, what can they do to stimulate them? No.
I think Kama Sutra.
Marvin Gaye.
I
There's
think
only so much I can do.
Fascinated. I did not know that. I've learned a lot right now.
Yeah.
Nash, you're teaching us so much. What was your third?
Okay, so my third one I'm really worried about now. That devolved quite a bit. So my third one is that all women who have been quarantined now have their most organic menstrual cycle that they've had since society started. So what happens in a month when we've all gone back to work and we're all on the same sync because we've been so off for so long?
Men are going to think that all of the women are going to the bathroom together during quarantine. I don't know.
Yeah. Will that be super Mercury retrograde?
Like, yeah,
Retrograde.
Yeah.
over Mercury.
I'm excited to see where this leads. But
All
on
I know
that
is
note,
men will
I
have,
always end in something gross.
men will have really stupid thoughts about it. That much I can say.
Perfect. There will be a lot of like chocolate buying in like 4 weeks time.
Ooh,
Reminds me to invest. Yeah.
yeah.
It's on the ground.
Right here. Let's make the money in the black community. Let's do it.
Only
Reminded
black-owned
that I need to
chocolate.
Start a chocolate company.
It's just the black owned.
Yeah, I know. But it's not.
It's not.
These are great thoughts, Nash. I really appreciate all of these, and I'm going to be thinking about them for a while.
I mean, I'm honestly worried about my brain now because it was a lot all at once just to look at starkly like that.
Well, this is what, day 90? I mean, the fact that we're having thoughts, I think we need to give ourselves.
It's true. That's true. But on that note, let's get started because we have a great show. Our first comic has been featured recently in the 6th Borough Comedy Festival, and she also produces an ongoing show at the People's Improv Theater in New York City. Please welcome Katie Morrissey.
Hi. This is just such a weird time for me. I recently broke up with my boyfriend, and it's made me a really bad friend because I just don't have time to deal with any of my friend's issues. Like my friend recently started wearing bucket hats, and I'm just letting her do it because I don't have time to deal with whatever mental issue has manifested itself as a hat on your person. And I think it's a really good thing. I think we should all wear our issues. Like I wear a lot of crop tops to offset my face. My face says, do you know who my father is? But my crop top more accurately says, seriously, does anyone know who my father is? We were dating for a really long time. We were dating for like 6 years. I waited too long to break up with him because I thought I was gonna crush him, but kind of the opposite happened. He didn't really seem to care. I was like one of those kids from the movies that befriends a wild dog and then tearfully, reluctantly releases it back into the wild. Like, go on, get out of here, go on. And he's a dog, so he just bolted. I don't know. I feel like we live in like a really strange time. Like I don't know how anyone else feels like about going to the doctor. But there's been a lot of technical advancements. Like I won't be going to the gynecologist anymore. I'm just going to be linking her to my OnlyFans. I don't know. Subscribe. Just kidding. Sometimes you have to sleep with a guy to figure out how big a loser he is. Sometimes you have to sleep with that guy again just to make sure. Sometimes you have to date that guy for 6 years. Just to do your due diligence. I've learned a lot from being single and being single in quarantine. Like I learned you can tell if someone has an STD by how much that person knows about a particular STD. Like I can tell you this, not all strands of HPV cause cancer. Cool. Yeah, I did sleep with a younger guy recently, which was great, except I just have so much more experience than he does. That he was asking me like weird questions in bed, like, are you on TikTok? By the way, I feel like for some reason I feel like there's so many really wealthy people on TikTok. It's like I feel like they should be careful like advertising all the fancy things they have. Like a finished basement, a trampoline, a dad. I did sleep with a younger guy, which was sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. So I slept with this guy and he did this really weird thing. He tied a knot in his condom after we were done. Like I don't really understand what he was doing. Did he think I was gonna scoop it out? I don't want to have children with a guy who's so stupid he thinks I can't undo a basic double knot. It's not even a nautical knot. Yeah, it was really weird. I should have known this guy was too young for me. Like right when I walked in this place, like the mattress was on the floor. He's using a sheet for a curtain. It smells like there's a cat, but there's no sign of a cat. And I'm too polite to say anything because I was raised in the Midwest where I was raised to be like super polite, like self-sacrificial levels of politeness. My mother's voice blocks every primal instinct that I have. Fight or flight, hunger, sex, she's there. Like the first time I go home with a guy, start making out, I hear, if your pants come off, young lady, you'll finish what you started. Now we're having sex to be polite. You have to understand, in the Midwest, though, kids aren't called accidents. They're called, well, I didn't want to upset you. I miss going to the gym. I don't know like if I'll ever end up going back, but like right before quarantine started, my gym had just updated all of its treadmills with treadmills that have screens on the front of them. You know, you can choose different scenarios you would run towards, like a beach or a building, like all meant to inspire you to run. I'm not at the gym to be inspired to run. I'm there to be forced to run. So I think the screen should be behind you. And you should be able to choose different scenarios you would run from. Like war-torn Kuwait, or 1930s Germany, or men who work in finance. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, right, it's my turn now. Who is talking now? It's me. I love that idea about the treadmill. I have a treadmill in my basement, and that's enough. Like I have to go down to my spidery basement. So then I want to be done. But I would prefer to be running from a man entity. To be honest, there's a lot of spiders down there. Moving on.
I think I would want the ghost behind me. I think I would just have the Pac-Man ghost.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
I would have a giant panda now because you don't know if it's a guy in there.
Yeah, Panda or Jack Black is a panda.
Oh. That's deeply upsetting.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for that.
Yep.
Our next comedian is a New York comic and writer. Please welcome Gracie Kanan.
Oh, hello. Hi, guys. Oh, am I muted? No, that's my opener. Hi, everyone. This is my first Zoom show, and it's just at the tail end of quarantine. So I think I've officially been kicked out of comedy. I think that's how that works. No, I think it's really good to have this. I think it's good to have like some sense of normalcy, especially when everyone's feeling really stressful, really anxious. I feel like I've been trying to get some sort of grasp on my mental health this week, but it's not working. It's like things that wouldn't normally stress me out are now massive problems, right? Like things that normally wouldn't upset me. Like this whole week I was freaking out because I didn't know whether to show my kids the Star Wars movies in order they were made or by chronological event. Does that mean like you guys are definitely all Star Wars nerds here, right? Because like on one hand they can see it just like you did, like 4 through 6, 1 through 3, and then the new ones. On the other hand, they can discover it in a whole new way. And then I was like, Gracie, you need to calm down. Like you don't have kids. Like just take it down. Yeah, I felt really bad because when the quarantine first started, it was actually the least anxious I've ever felt. And I felt really bad about that, but I realized it's because 99% of my anxiety just comes from interactions with other people. And that was taken off. Like I realized actual danger does not frighten me because it makes sense. It's me versus a global pandemic, like man versus death. It's simple. It's a real reason. Like there's something far more tangible there than having a meltdown in a bathroom. Because like earlier that day, I hugged someone who went in for a handshake. You know, like that's my nightmare. That's my hell. Like I was on board already. When everyone was struggling at the beginning, I'm like, I've been a prisoner of my own mind for years, bitch. So like staying inside reading a book for a few hours isn't gonna be tough. now that we are kind of like opening up the state and city, I've been bumping into a lot of people I know while we're both wearing masks, and I recognize them and they recognize me, which really, really makes me think and ask myself the question, how fucking stupid are people who did not know who Batman was? Like now that we're all like if I can recognize someone I went on one Bumble date with while he's wearing a respirator, there's no plausible reason that Bruce Wayne shouldn't have been identified and murdered by the CIA in the first 5 minutes of that movie. Cinderella too. I think that applies. I had been quarantining with my boyfriend, and we were together 3 months before we were quarantining. So it's just hyper speed. Like it's like that scene in Inception where we're just like old men staring across the room. We have no concept of time. We get along really great, but I don't think it's gonna work out. I assume he's watching this. And I don't think it's gonna work out because we started very early on role playing during sex, and there's nowhere to go from there. You know, like if 4 months in you buy a wig, like I can't top that. You know, it's escalating at this rate. 1 year in, our relationship is just going to look like a fucking Lars von Trier movie. Like it's not sustainable. I don't know. Just throwing someone's genitals out a window. If anyone's familiar with his art. I like living with someone. I like living with someone, and you kind of inevitably let your guard down, right? As far as like being sexy all the time. But in quarantine, it makes it easier because it's like, yeah, I might be gross, but like, where else are you gonna go? You know, like I could get really depressed and fart out all of my feelings, but like out there's nothing for you but death and madness. So like buckle the fuck in. Is that unhealthy? I feel like that's a healthy ultimatum. I had to stop sex with him the other night because he was going down on me. Thank you for your congratulations. But I had to stop because I looked down and his feet were up. Like his feet were, you know what I mean? Like if he's belly down, his feet were up in the air in what I would call a pretty whimsical fashion. And I got furious. I was just like, you're a grown man performing cunnilingus, because that's what grown women call it, cunnilingus, on your domestic partner. You are not Christopher Robin fucking lounging in a meadow. Get fucking serious, okay? FYI, it's just got to be some modification of child's pose, okay? I don't know. I don't care which one it is. Figure it out. We were lucky enough to get to some Airbnbs while all this was going down, which was interesting. Because one thing that is abundantly clear is you can tell by how someone furnishes their apartment exactly what their politics are. Like I'm fully embracing my coastal eliteness right now and saying that like if I walk into your home and I see an apple flavored Yankee Candle, like I know like you probably hate Mexicans. Like if I would have put money on it. Sorry, was that offensive to people who own Yankee Candles? Look, the best thing is just recognize you're part of a bigger issue and call me once you get a good soy hand poured thing going on. We'll fucking talk. All right, I made a mistake. I'm also not, is there like a light? I'm not timing myself at all.
Yeah, I got
Someone just wave at me.
I was literally just going to do this. So.
Oh God, I'm just gonna blow that thing. No kidding. I made the mistake of going down an all lives matter hole on Twitter the other night, which was harmful for my mental wellness, but also made me really hope that there is at least one all lives matter person who is also really suicidal, just for the hashtag opportunities alone, like hashtag all lives matter except Brandon's, like hashtag my life does not matter. Like their friends are like, well, who are you even fighting? It's just like, I don't know, the world. The first emo all lives matter person. I have more, but I think I'm just gonna end it there. Thanks so much, guys.
Not worried about Randy. I'm still trying to picture the position your boyfriend was in. Did he look like he was trying to?
It was like a this situation. Like
now I really
was
hope
like-
he's watching. Oh my god.
Wait, now I'm stuck. See, it's not, and I feel like I just nip slipped. It's just not a good. You're welcome, Twitch.
He just kind of looks like he was trying to fly.
Yeah, it was just
enjoying
cute. It was like a picnic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's something you do when you're having fun.
In it. Don't need oxygen anymore. You're just a pig with a mayonnaise jar.
Yeah, on a picnic.
Yeah. But might I offer you some advice for your
Please.
role playing? Giant panda suits. That's your next thing. See if you
They
can
are
make
sold
one
out
of
on
them.
Amazon right now, so I already checked.
I believe it.
Very sad.
Let me know how it goes. I'm curious. I've been married for a while, but maybe it's time. You might know our next comic from his previous appearances and work as a producer on this show. But if you don't for some reason, he's also a writer for Netflix Family. Here's Andrew Nadeau.
Yay!
Hey, so not doing great. I started a new business to help with social distancing. It's like Uber, but with horses. The only problem is most horses don't use Uber. Also, if a transformer dies, what's the respectful amount of time to wait before I can just drive it like a regular car? I had to write support because my caps lock key got stuck. They said they wouldn't help me until I stopped yelling at them. A lot of times people ask me, Andrew, you need to learn the difference between questions and statements. I went to a pet store to buy a rabbit. When I got home, I realized they sold me a sideways duck again. The infinite monkey theory says if you give infinite monkeys infinite keyboards, they'll eventually create the works of Shakespeare, which is really unimpressive when you realize that Shakespeare did it without any monkeys. I love to take a book and go sit in the park. That way the trees know what happens to them if they try anything. I found out you can download audio magazines just like audio books. I got Playboy. Not the articles, it's just 45 minutes of James Earl Jones describing the photos. I think that watching porn gave me unrealistic expectations for how willing pizza delivery people would be to adopt a barter system. Being served breakfast in bed is the most romantic way to wake up. Unless you live alone like I do. And it's the most terrifying. I got kicked out of the opera for singing along again. I think that melancholy is the worst kind of melon, except for honeydew. I had to leave a bad review for my last job because the work wasn't anything like they said in the interview. I was an Oompa Loompa. They said I'd be candy making, but it was mostly singing while you escort the bodies of dying children. Every once in a while I yell, I sure do love chameleons, because there's literally no way to know how many chameleons are around me right now. If you completely cover yourself in chameleons, it looks exactly the same as with no chameleons. I lost my job as an elementary school teacher, which was sad because the kids taught me something new every day. But apparently that's the exact opposite of what we were supposed to be doing. I love to go to the museum and pretend all the statues are Medusa's ex-boyfriends. If you're actually good at escape rooms, you should also be able to break in and do them for free. I can't imagine how good the lead pilot was for Jesus just to get the co-pilot job. Da Vinci got famous for building a helicopter, even though it didn't work. But when I did that, I just got sued. Nobody told me which machine, so I've just been raging against toasters. It makes me sad that people still buy plastic straws, even though they're killing sea turtles, instead of buying my far more efficient Turtle Murderer 5000. This used to be a ventriloquist act, but turns out it's really hard to talk without moving your lips. So instead, I just never moved the puppet's lips and pretended he was talking for me the entire time. I used to belong to a ventriloquist club. The first rule of ventriloquism club is obviously don't fall in love with your puppet. I buried my father last week. He was really mad when he got. When I was 5, I asked my father where babies came from, and he told me the stork, which was so upsetting. At such a young age to learn that my mom fucked a stork. When I was 7, I ran away to join the circus as their accountant. I used to work as a ranch hand. One day a bunch of sheep got out, and I told the rancher, there are 18 sheep out in the field. He said, round them up. I said, there are 20 sheep out in the field. I bet that Secret Santa was absolutely terrifying at the Schrodinger offices. I lost my job as a therapist because I took all the black and white Rorschach tests and I replaced them with pictures of pandas. Then every time a patient said they saw a panda, I would act increasingly concerned. I was talking to my girlfriend about having kids one day, and she said if we did, she wanted to name them after our favorite songs. So if we had a girl, she'd name her Layla. And if we had a boy, I would name him DuckTales theme song. If you average out the opening in A Tale of Two Cities, absolutely nothing happened. is probably the hardest spectator sport, because you have to chant defense so quickly. If you apply for an unpaid internship and you don't get the job, you can just show up anyway. The worst thing to do is start paying you. All right, I'm Andrew Nadeau. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
You know, I always find it amazing, Andrew, how many jobs you've been fired from and why.
It's all of them. Yeah, a lot of reasons, but all of them.
My God, you've lived a life.
Should we go through that? That's a very interesting.
That panda prank you pull on your patients, what's that about? That's very thematic.
Yeah.
Yes, about pandas.
Yeah, that was already in there, but I was glad to use it.
Maybe we should get some audience feedback on how long it's going to be before you drive that transformer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it now. Everyone come up with your best answer.
I'd say a year. I think after a year, it's like, all right, you know, we've basically, that's about as long as it takes. After a year, you can stop mourning. Same rules for Transformers. Transformers, I assume, are also Jews like me. That's how I relate.
How long do Transformers live, like in a normal lifespan? I guess that's my question.
Honestly, I posted this once and I got so much feedback. There were a lot of hardcore Transformer fans with a lot of opinion.
Wow.
I think you only need to wait a week for a Transformer. Have the service, wait a week, go out to the road. I mean, it's just gonna rust and wear away and sit in your garage otherwise.
Think of it like
what
a
he
really
would have
cool
wanted.
Yeah, it just might get awkward when you're stuck in traffic with another Transformer that remembers the Transformer you're driving.
Yeah.
There should be a whole Curb Your Enthusiasm for Transformers, I guess. It feels like
that would be really sad, actually, if like driving like the corpse of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime sees him and he's like, fuck, like we just had coffee together last Monday. Like this is really
It's been a week. Everyone knows to wait a whole year. What's wrong with you?
it's just such an amazing body of metal. Just an amazing thing to drive. It would be hard to wait 365 days.
Will it actually run?
So much.
Would it
What do you
actually
think?
run? Will it function without the spirit?
like I don't know, like because I would think it would get locked down. Aren't they from like outer space? And it would
Yeah.
So they would probably get locked, like when you steal an iPhone, like where it's locked.
But I mean,
Very detailed. Yeah.
pick any lock, Maya.
Do you think a Transformer ever sees a regular car and just gets really turned on?
Or do
Like,
they think that regular cars are really stupid?
Yeah.
Look at this idiot. He can't even transform into anything. He can't even talk. He doesn't even have an arch enemy like Voltron.
I'm glad this show digs into the deep issues here. This is
What did the farmer say after you said 20 sheep? Which way did he actually mean round them up?
Are we seriously going to go into all of my fictional jobs for this show? By the way, you had one, which was to give me a prompt after Ventriloquism Club.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
I almost picked it up, but you saved it. So
We talked about that like an hour ago. That was a long
I know,
time.
it's been a while.
in the interest of moving on, let's maybe move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our next comedian has been on Conan, was featured on Comedy Central, and recently toured with Pop-Up Magazine. Please welcome Mohanad El-Shiki.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I'm doing this set from a parking lot. Yeah, I came here for a job interview, and I don't know, this guy came out of the bus. He said that his name is on the bus, and he just yelled at me. He doesn't. Yeah. He just said he doesn't need my vote, and I was like, I don't care. I just want a job, and I like, should I just stay in this park? So I'm now in this parking lot, and whatever. I mean, the connection is good. At least he had Wi-Fi, so I'm just gonna do my set from here. I hope that's fine with you. Yeah, I'm Mohanad. I moved to New York like 6 months ago, and yeah, and little did I know, also the coronavirus moved to New York 6 months ago. Yeah, and one of us made a name to themselves, not me. So that's really cool. I'm really happy for her. I've been spending most of my time in quarantine just playing Spider-Man on PlayStation, because that's the only way I can see New York City. And it's been fun. I mean, like, the game is way more fun if you just pretend that you're just beating the shit out of people who are not social distancing. You know, and you have every right to do so, because like you're literally the only one wearing a mask. So it's fun, and I'm okay with it. I also been reading a lot. There's like a lot of like shitty opinion pieces right now, but one I can think of specifically is the one that I read about, like young people like who are like using TikTok and like social media, and most of it was just like about like how young people would do anything for followers. That's just like what the writers kept saying over and over again. They're just like, these kids are crazy. They would do anything for followers. Like the things they do for followers are fucking insane. Like the things they do just for followers, I don't get it. I just don't get it. They would do anything for followers. It's so crazy to me. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do see your point. But I did work for Jesus, you know? Like the man literally died for his followers and now has like what, 2 billion? Like amazing. Like good PR move, Jesus. Like I don't know who's your publicist is, but that was amazing. Like as far as I'm concerned, like he's verified on Instagram, whatever. And I mean, like how many followers did he have before he did what he did? Like 12? That's not many. And it's great. I love that for him. I mean, it's been like 2020 years and we still sell his merch to this day. You know, he even got a book deal out of it. Like, like what I'm trying to say is like his father created the universe, but Jesus created content, and that's what matters. I grew up in a religious family. My family is Muslim. I don't know if anyone here practices Islam or one of the other false religions, and that's fine. We can't all go to heaven. That will be a lot. So it's fine. I'll tell you what's up there. And I mean, I've read all of the other books too. Like I read the Quran, I read the Bible, and I'm always like, oh, these two like sound the same. Like who wrote this? Kafka. It's just like keep going on forever. I'm like, is this gonna conclude at some point? I don't know what's happening. It's just sad. But I remember like growing up, like I had a one teacher who was like super religious, and he would tell us in like when we were in middle school what happens when we die. And he was like, oh, as a Muslim, like when you die you go to heaven and you get rivers of honey. Yeah. And I remember being like, well, that sounds exciting for a bear. You know, I feel like after 4 days I'd be like, God, this is sticky. Like what? Like I really thought you loved me. Like what's hell like? Can I go there? Like what's happening? You know, but it's whatever. I'm also, I've been living in the States for like 6 years now. You know, my timing is always great. You know, with like the moves, I'm always killing it, and I've been really having fun. What a great experience I've been having. What a great social experience for the past 6 years. Really, I blame myself. You know, like every country I live in just gets attacked by the U.S. military, and that's fine. You're probably wondering where I'm from. Literally, I can be anywhere, from anywhere. I also used to work in customer service before I started doing comedy full time. I worked at the Apple Store, which is the worst place to work at ever. It's disgusting, and one of the things I hated about it is that like every time we clocked in, we had to do this thing where we like touch the logo and be like, "Blessed be the fruit." No idea what that means, but I did it anyway. And it's not like, honestly, like one of the reasons I don't believe that all lives matter is because I worked in retail. you know? It was like, there's no way everyone here matters. Like, some of these people need to be gone, you know? And it's fine. No, but one of the worst things that used to happen to me is like, is customers like would hear my accent and they would try to guess where I'm from, because that's a fun game for both of us. And I had this one dude who approached me and he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna ask you something, and I know this is gonna be like a white dude thing to ask, which always excites me to hear what's gonna come next." He was like, "Are you Persian?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I don't know, man, but I wish I had your confidence. That's super amazing. Like, I don't know how you do that. That's super cool." And he was just like, "Oh, I'm just asking because my dad is Persian." And I was like, "Oh, okay, buddy. Well, quick thing. I'm definitely not your dad." Like, have you been just like walking around retail stores, just like looking at like vaguely ethnic men, just being like, "Yeah, no, like I would never have a kid this dumb." Like, also, dude, if your dad is Persian, like I have news for you. You're Persian. You have been looking through yourself this whole time. It's been coming from inside the house. Sorry, it's not me. Anyway, that's been super fun. I gotta go knock on the bus again. Thank you so much.
Man, I have to spend some more time playing Are You My Mother in retail stores.
You should, absolutely.
You'd still only be maybe half as annoying as the average person in a retail store.
I don't know about that. I've asked to see the manager many times. I'm sure I'm on some lists. Okay. Our next comic headlined at the Lady Laughs Comedy Tour, won the Comedy Hack Days LA Hackathon, and has performed at countless other festivals. I'm delighted to welcome Maggie May. I'm sorry, Maya May. I'm sorry.
Oh, we can start with that.
Yeah, just roast me now, please.
I was like,
She's a big Rod Stewart fan.
They weren't able to get the other black person for this. Maggie May and I look nothing alike. It's actually happened quite a few times in person. So you don't feel bad. I actually had a black comic also bring me up as Maggie May once. So I don't think that you are racist, but I think all white people are racist. Just not you, because I'm on your show tonight. And so I want to say, hi, everyone. I am okay. And I know a lot of people have wondered that because they keep sending me messages like, "Are you okay?" Like, I've been getting so many like messages from my white friends like, "Hey, just wanted to send you some hugs. Hey." And like, yeah, I'm okay because I grew up with white people. Everyone was white. Not everyone, like not my parents. It wasn't like Dances with Wolves where I was like, "I was white people." It was close though. It was close. It was Downers Grove, Illinois, which is a far west suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a tree city, which means they invest more in their trees than they do in their black people. So we had to sneak our way in, but we made it in. So I got that good education. But I can tell you, yes, I'm used to white people shenanigans. So don't you all worry. But yeah, no, I am okay. I am doing really well, and I felt guilty about it. Like, I didn't want to talk about like, "Oh, I'm like actually like really happy right now," because like everybody knows that whole saying like, "Oh, like, you know, black women have to work twice as hard to be considered half as good," and like that's 100% true. Like, that was my entire life growing up. But now I can work half as hard, and I'm doing good because I've strengthened that muscle. So now I don't have to do shit, and I'm doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, I had to play the game on level hard my entire life. So like now I'm good, and I'm just like checking in on my white friends like, "You good?" It's about to get real hard for you. because I'm this is the thing. Like, I'm so worried because I had to figure out why the big explosion? And I'm like, oh, okay. White people had to be locked down for 90 days to actually care about Black lives. 90 days. It's like, did you run out of puzzles? Because that's what I think. I was like, if there were more puzzles, I really feel like it was like, oh, another Black person got shot, another Black person got da. And then everyone's like, hey, we ran out of puzzles. You want to go outside and play Black Lives Matter? I'm sorry. I'm supposed to say nice things. I'm supposed to be because I am so articulate and well spoken. I've been told, and I get really insulted when people say that. But then I'm also like, but I am really articulate and well spoken. I'm a goddamn speechwriter over here. I could be up there with Obama telling speeches. So I'm all also I get mad. There's people protesting at my corner, but they're not protesting. They're all white people holding up signs that say Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And they do it every day, except for when it's hot. When it's hot, they're just fuck Black lives, I guess. And I actually made a sign that said thank you. And then I was like, what? Why am I making a sign? No, I'm just gonna stand and wave. And that's what I did. I would sit out during rush hour and I would just wave at people passing by, thank you. Yes, I know. Yes, we matter. Thank you. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. And my mom is my neighbor. And so she's getting a huge kick out of it because she grew up in the 60s, 70s. And so for her, she's just this is insane. She's what are these white people doing? I'm making themselves feel better. Is what they're doing. That just kind of feels like my interaction with all of this. But I don't know, I feel for me, it's I think I'm doing my part by no longer dating white men. A friend of mine said to me, she's like, I think you have daddy issues with the patriarchy. And it made so much sense. It was one of those epiphanies that I had. I was like, oh my God. Because I have always wondered why all these woke Black women date sad white men. Because that was me. And I was I had to figure that out. I was why do I feel I need to save all these sad white men? And then I did some thinking on it, did some meditating, and I'm like, oh my God, it's because I'm a problem solver. And white men are the problem. So if I fix sad white men, I fix the whole world. Don't you see? This is actually my plan. I really think if anybody really thought deep about it, I have this whole hypothesis theory. I was oh my God, yes, if I make them less sad, because all of my friends who have racist relatives, when they've talked to them, it's all been oh, yeah, I really can't reach my brother, because he's just so sad. And I'm yeah, but but sad white guys buy AR-15s and stock their cellars. And so, nobody else when they're sad does that. I don't understand the correlation. So my whole thing is we have to make white men happy. And I'm not going to do it. White women, that's on you. You have a new role in this fight. I know y'all have been really having fun doing arts and crafts. I've seen so many. I've seen so many good times. But you're gonna have to start fucking. I'm sorry. It comes down to the relationship of it all. It's about relationships. And to me, when somebody pisses you off, you're dating somebody and they upset you and they won't admit what they've done, right? And it makes you angrier and angrier. Even if you break up, you're still angry at this person. You're why? Where they're gonna say sorry, apologize, and that is basically the situation I find myself in. I'm basically we, Black America, we're America's angry ex-girlfriend, and we're basically I'm gonna burn this shit down. That is. And everybody knows it now, and that's the thing. Everybody knows it, and nobody wants to see it all burn. So now everybody's out in the streets. We better appease them. We better give them shit. Sorry if this is getting too real, but like that's that. To me, that's like what's going on. Is they're like, oh, it's not even about fundamental change at the core heart level. It's they're serious now. They're actually going to burn shit. So yeah, we're going to burn your house down. We're not going away, and we might fuck your friends like that. We're feeling right now. That's been me. I've been Maya. Y'all been awesome. Give money to Black Lives Matter because that's why we're here. So please, I hope somebody's out there donating with all of the money to Black Lives. Also me. Feel free to donate money to me too.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Michael, can you drop that the donation link in the chat again?
Yeah, please.
I have twice. I will do it a third time.
Oh, I'm not paying enough attention. I'm on the Twitch
I
one.
want them to donate, goddammit. I will do it 50 times.
I know.
Yes. All the time.
And Jared, who's running our Twitch, if you could drop that in the Twitch chat, that would be great. Thank you very much. All right, Nash, back to you.
I mean,
You're
I will-
hosting.
I will fuck more white men. My husband might have something to say about it. But I feel like if it's for a good cause, he should just understand. Sorry, honey, this is business. Save the world, baby. Our next comic is currently a writer for The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and once documented his testicles for science. Please welcome Jim Barnes.
Yeah. It's been a interesting, tough, complicated couple of weeks, and personally I just think it's crazy that we went from watching Little Fires Everywhere to starting Little Fires Everywhere. That's a pretty impressive progression of events. I haven't done stand-up in a long time now, like I guess like officially like 3 months, so who knows how this is going to go. But I do think it's I think personally what I'm dealing with right now is this complicated, like I never thought I'd be employed during the apocalypse. There's something weird about this situation where it's like a flaming meteor is headed towards Earth, but I got to get this deadline in, you know? And with the Black Lives Matter protests and all of this sort of awakening that's happening across the globe, I think a phrase that often comes up in situations like this, it's starting to bother me even more when people talk about their eyes. He was like, oh, my eyes have been open to this issue. And it's frustrating because that phrase always comes from someone whose eyes have been opened before when the exact same issue happened. So whenever I hear that, it's like, damn, how long are your blinks, you know? keep your eyes open a little more. Yeah, and that, the thing about, I live on a street where a lot of the protests come through in Brooklyn. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to do the show, but it was so massive that I just could not, in good conscience, do a comedy show while there's just like a massive amount of people protesting right outside. And my parents have commented on it. My grandpa has commented. It's just like fascinating how many white people there are. And even when I saw it for the first time, looking out my window, I had to like listen to the chants for like 30 minutes just to be safe that this wasn't Charlottesville. And I guess that's part of why there's some power to the movement right now is because there's so many white people. And it kind of reminds me of like jobs I've had as an explanation of why having a lot of white people in a protest about Black Lives Mattering is effective. It reminds me of jobs I've had where I say something out loud, but no one listens until a white person repeats the exact same thing. That's kind of what's happening in America right now. What I'm trying to say basically is that this is a complicated time for someone like me in the sense that it's just a weird time to be a Black introvert. Because on the one hand, introvert culture is being appropriated by everybody stuck in quarantine right now. But on the other hand, Black people are being murdered without consequence, and there's a call to action for Black introverts to go and march outside. It's just like a weird conflict I don't naturally want to go anywhere, but I did go to, I attended a protest last weekend for a couple of reasons, because I felt the need, because it's happening outside my door every, like 3 times a day. But then also because a couple days before I decided to go, I saw that Kanye West went to a protest, and I just realized this thing clicked in my head where it's like, I cannot, if I ever have grandchildren, tell them that Kanye West went to an important protest that I did not. Kanye West, a man who was attended the White House wearing a Make America Great Again hat, went to a Black Lives Matter protest in this time. There's no way that I couldn't. But it reminded me of, protests are fun. They're exciting. One of my favorite things is kind of when one chant fades into the other. It's almost like a DJ is like coordinating all these chants, and it's just like this phenomenon. Especially when the next chant is my jam. That's really exciting. Yeah. Let's see what else I've written down here. What I really want in the future is a future where Black people in America don't have to watch white shows as if it's science fiction. Because I think a lot of people don't realize this. Every show about white people doing anything, just like normal stuff, is science fiction to Black people. Like if the structure, the script was exact of Friends, but all the friends were Black, you'd be down to one friend by episode 6. And now there's this weird thing happening where it seems like we're getting, Black people are getting some stuff that has nothing to do with what we're asking for, but it's still pretty cool. Like we have a Black Bachelor now. That's great. It'd be really cool if we got reparations. Band-Aids finally came out with Band-Aids for different skin tones, which is awesome. That's cool. Be really cool if the cops who killed Breonna Taylor got arrested. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, I'm passionate about this thing because I grew up in a small town in African America, and I don't know if you've ever been to African America, but it's a pretty great place. You get a sandwich in African America, you order with African American cheese. It's just what you do. And I moved from African America to the United States of America, and I was very young. And this is a true story. I didn't realize I was Black until the 4th grade because a lot of kids will play games during recess. I remember one time during recess, all the kids started playing this game called Taxi, and no one picked me up. So that's what I knew. But I've learned over the years that I should count my blessings in the U.S. because no matter what, I can always hail a cop car, and sometimes I don't even have to extend my hand. They just show up, take me places. It's a wild ride. And I've been trying to save on money in general, and to do this, I try to do something that it works like a charm. I try to say as many sentences during the day that begin with the phrase "personally as a Black man." Okay, personally as a Black man. It's a magical phrase, and you don't have to be Black to say it. It's just sort of a social coupon. And to prove this on the count of 3, I'd like all of us to say it together. All right, personally as a Black man. 1, 2, 3.
Personally. Oh, man.
Okay, now let's say it. Let's say it loud. You're Black and you're proud. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Personally.
Feels pretty great, right? You have no idea your whole life you're waiting to say this, and it works. Like I was, before the quarantine, last time I was just out and about, I, standing in a line, and somebody asked me a question and so I said, well, personally, as a Black man, I'll have a caramel macchiato, and it was great. Very, very speedy service. I got it for free, And I was proud of myself because whenever I go to Starbucks, I don't know what's going on that menu. So I just go up to the barista and I tell them the way I like my women, just hoping that's a drink. And what's great, that's usually a caramel macchiato, so it all works out. I don't know if I'll ever have kids or anything like that, but I do think that if I do, I've kind of made the choice that I'd like to adopt and specifically adopt white children, because I think if we really want to change the world, every person of color should purchase at least one white child, and give them give them an ethnic name, so that they don't immediately get the job interview, make them struggle a little bit. And if I have these kids, this is I haven't done this joke in a Zoom setting, so I don't know if this will work, but if I have these kids, there are three main things that I'd like to teach them, and so I'd like you all to applaud if you agree with any of these parenting techniques. All right, I'm gonna teach my white kids, about Black Jesus. Thank you. I think that was one clap. Because I know there's a debate out there. What race was Jesus? Was he black or not? I think Jesus was black. I think he was just like Vin Diesel black, if that makes any sense. Let's make a bargain on the skin tone. I'm teaching my kids about Black Santa Claus. All right, so two claps and a snap. That's good. And I'm also going to teach my kids about Black Ronald Reagan. All right. Hear me out. I've got a lot of conspiracy theories, but I'm going to keep it real with you tonight. Black people like to keep it real. You've seen The Matrix. You have to understand why Ronald Reagan had to keep his blackness a secret, right? First of all, because I know the Reagans are no longer amongst us. They probably trickled up to heaven, But Ronald Reagan had to keep his blackness a secret, because can you imagine at the time how angry white voters would have been if they found out Ronald Reagan was black? Okay. Can you imagine how angry black voters would have been if they found out Ronald Reagan was black? Can you imagine how confused Ronald Reagan would have been if he found out Ronald Reagan was black? And can you imagine how absolutely thrilled Nancy Reagan would have been? All right, I think that's my time. I hope. Okay.
I might never recover from that. But I think mostly I'm not going to recover from the part where I would just realize I have to work during the apocalypse. Thank you for that. I don't want to go to any Zoom meetings ever again.
No.
Yeah, the Zoom meetings are taking their toll on me. It's yeah, it's just like, it's something weird about it, where it's like we're all learning these new things, these microaggressions of a Zoom meeting. Like I feel like it's rude for me to turn off my video or something. Yeah.
I never have video on, ever.
I should have just done that from the start. Because now it's
my kids don't need to see my ass in pajamas. They just don't. Not going to help the business.
Yeah.
I personally enjoy watching all of my colleagues age one day at a time.
That'd be a great secret project to work on, where you just like get one screenshot every day and then
Getting some clothes there, Nancy.
Yeah.
They start with a suit day 1, day 90, they're just wearing just a rag, just an actual rag.
I've started decorating different parts of my apartment in completely different styles, so nobody, I'm just moving around where I do the setup, so nobody can figure out exactly what the aesthetic I'm going for is.
You buy like a whole new set of furniture and art and all of that.
Yeah, one corner is just zebra print now. Nobody knows what's going on.
That should be where you do your Zoom calls, with zebra print right behind you.
Yeah, no, I moved around.
That's a good idea. Keep things light.
I was on a call recently where I had a coworker eat a bowl of cereal and not mute it.
Oh,
And it was the most power move I've ever seen. Like every time my boss was like, okay, she'd be like, crunch, crunch. This is like, we're not getting anything done. Let's just go.
What cereal?
Probably like Cocoa Puffs. I mean, is there another kind of cereal?
Well, technically, but none of that matter. No.
Right. Only Cocoa Puffs. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited to introduce our headliner tonight. I think she's still with us. I've been a big fan of hers for a while. We're going to try. We'll see how it goes. You can buy her book, Toxic Femininity in the Workplace, wherever you buy books, even on the internet. And you should absolutely do that. Please welcome, maybe, Jenny Hogan.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yay!
Hello, I made it. I'm on my phone. I'm here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys some jokes, and then I'm going to read to you. Last week, it's basically like bedtime stories, you know? So, I got dumped recently, even though we're in quarantine, which I thought was wild. And then I ran into him at a protest last week, and he said, "Long time no see." And I was like, yeah, as per your request, you know? What a weird reaction to the person who explicitly asked you not to go a long time without seeing them. You know what I mean? Also, we're in quarantine. Like, where else would I have run into him? You know what I mean? Honestly, that's the big perk of going to protests. It's literally the only place you might see your ex. But when he dumped me, he told me we should see other people. And I was like, no, we should both be alone separately, you know? Why would you break up with me and then give me instructions on what to do next? I just think that's like a little bit crazy. I'm still like, I obviously in quarantine have been masturbating even more than usual. I would say I masturbate like 7 to 8 times a week, all on the same day. I am a binge masturbator, you know, I just bang them. I am. Yeah, but I want to get ready for when I start dating again, you know? So I got a vibrator that dies like half the time before I finish. Yeah, and then I got back on dating apps, which is really cool. I guess it's cool. I mean, I met a guy. I thought he was great. We had FaceTimed a lot. We met in person, and then we both got COVID tests to decide if we could have sex, basically, like if we both came out negative. So we got COVID tests, and then we both had sex with each other the day we got our tests. So it was kind of ineffective. We did not wait for the results, but we felt so, you know, responsible for having gotten the test. And but it's okay, we're both negative. But I told my therapist, like after I talked to him a few times and hung out with him in person, that I just like loved how we were taking it slow, you know, and like not rushing things at all. And she was like, haven't you met him once? Which I thought was kind of rude. But yes, she asked me if I use sex as a way to get men to like me. And I was like, no, at least not effectively, you know? I would love to use it. I just haven't, yeah. I don't know. I mean, this guy I'm dating is a nice guy. Well, I have a hard time telling if a guy's like a nice guy or if he just like rarely gets laid, you know? Like, I feel like that's not always super clear. We got in a fight already, even though it's been so brief. We got into a fight about him sending my nudes to his friends. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I just don't understand why he keeps refusing to do it, you know? Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit to you guys because I feel like that works pretty well on Zoom. So this is a Corona piece that I wrote for McSweeney's. It's called "What Will Change, What Will Not," and I wrote it. It came out like a couple weeks ago. We will work from home when we're feeling even mildly under the weather. We will still spend half the day napping when we do. We will store many more cans of food in our pantry. We will still lie to ourselves about the ability to keep chips long term, more than 45 minutes. We will wash our hands more. Men will still not wash their hands enough. There will be times when they scratch their balls and do not immediately wash after. This will always be gross. Coachella will be less popular. Because the attendees could spread another virus around, we will now have a moral justification for hating the people who go, instead of just an instinctual one. We will think of traveling as a privilege, not simply as a means of getting to weddings we don't want to attend. We will still complain that mothers only had kids so they could cut the line for the ferry to the island, where we will be forced to live. We will talk about how much we enjoyed reading in quarantine. We will still never read books. Our mother screamed at us to pack exactly one suitcase of essentials and escape before the US ran out of natural resources and descended into lawlessness. We will pack our vibrators, but not one single book. We will cook for ourselves instead of taking every opportunity to go out to eat. The meals we make will still just be nuts every time. They're the easiest to forage. We obviously prioritize getting a following on TikTok over learning how to hunt. We will think it's very cool that Taylor Swift is our neighbor now. We will still be nosy because she's famous. Is the inside of her cave bejeweled? We will take a moment to appreciate that there are no DMVs on the island. We will value seeing our family in person. We will still need the cave to ourselves sometimes, though. I mean, what was the point of bringing our vibrators? We will support universal health care, which is now just a sign warning people not to eat the poison berries. We will, for the very first time, be relieved that our parents own a gun, especially since the sign didn't do the trick and the consumers of wild berries have turned into flesh-eating automatons. We will still resent that our parents are Republicans. We will learn to live without CBD oil. We will still have regular panic attacks when we imagine that someone might be coming to suck our blood. Is that what flesh eaters do? We didn't watch any post-apocalyptic content when we had the chance because The Bachelor was on. We will understand that life will be forever changed and we will fully adapt. We will still hate that cute guy who lives by the river, hate that the cute guy who lives by the river asked us what two trees our cave stood beneath, but then never stopped by. He wasn't even that cute. Maybe he ate one of the poison berries. We will still give men too many chances. We will wonder if Timothy Chalamet is on the island. He could suck our blood. Cool. Aged so much in quarantine. It's been like a year. But I have been feeling very old recently. A 22-year-old asked me how old I was. Just so dark. I mean, 28 is old enough to die, though. That's what's kind of crazy about it. So is 22, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I do think it's weird. Like, I lived with my parents until I was 27, and I feel like people always like tried to make me feel bad about it. But I had a lot of friends who like lived with their wife and kids, and I was just like, you still live with your family, loser, you know? Is that really that much cooler? I don't really think so. Yeah, but you know, I'm like growing up. I live on my own now, and I am dating this nice guy. I do like dating nice guys just because it makes me feel special, knowing that they're only mean to me, you know? You know, this was the first time that I didn't have sex with a guy on the first date. I do usually have sex on the first date because, like, when else am I gonna do it, you know? Are you guys into like movies and stuff? I've been watching so many movies in quarantine. I will say I hate when the two leads in a movie don't hook up until the very end. I just find it so unrealistic. Like, I have never in my life waited 90 minutes to sleep with someone I wanted to sleep with, you know? Crazy. I did once have sex with 3 guys in one weekend, although in my defense, it was a 3-day weekend, you know? What else was I supposed to do with it? The guy I'm seeing is short. I really like short men. Like, I think it's a little bit misogynistic to be too tall, you know? Like, how committed are you to looking down on me, you know? yeah, I just don't want to strain my neck. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my big thing that I'm always going for. I also just think like short guys give better head. You know what I mean? Because they're just like closer to the vagina. Like they live life closer to the vagina. You know, they just like get it more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of my new short lover. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Jenny Hogan.
Woo!
Now I'm just thinking about how great of a lover Napoleon must have been.
Yeah.
Please don't make me think about that for the rest of
Danny
the
DeVito.
What a waste.
Now that's stuck there.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Oops.
There's like a good portrait of Napoleon that like people like it's on several history books in this house. So
Oh.
You've got a clearer image than the rest of us. Is the point here?
and I wish that I didn't. No, I do.
Why is there a lot of Napoleon in your house?
My husband and I both have degrees in history.
Oh.
Not Napoleon.
We have degrees in history. Like you were embarrassed.
Yeah.
We both do. We're nerds.
Like
Now,
a
were you saying you had
conversation.
framed photos of Napoleon in your house, or?
One of the wall decals.
Nice.
There's a lot of history though. Like that doesn't totally explain it.
It's
Like, you're specifically
true.
into Napoleon.
That sounds very concentrated. It's true.
So, I don't like history books really like this picture of him on the little horse. I don't know. This must be a very small horse now that I say this.
Huh.
Please don't question my history collection.
Do we have time to go into like a second set about Napoleon?
Only
We're
in a
we're
panda.
like half an hour late already. We're doing great.
Fuck it. We're in
We're
quarantine.
gonna stay on here until everybody gives all their money to Black Lives Matter.
That's
That's
right.
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 I want that shit emptied.
As we slowly fall asleep.
Speak for yourself. I have no sleep
We
schedule.
had, who was it? Sam Berkman did a 24-hour stream for that. I would love it if we could do one of those.
Yeah. She raised like $1,500 or something.
And she did it alone, which was insane. So, a little bit.
Really?
Yes. But yeah, let's plan that for the next one, a 24-hour stream.
My kids
All right.
are gonna love this.
Devin, I'm gonna book 55 comics.
Yeah.
We're gonna do half-hour sets on our next show.
Oh, like a telethon.
Plan it now. That's good.
2 weeks. It's fine.
It's been a while since they've done telethons. Yeah, we should bring that back. Yeah.
Oh my god, a live Zoom telethon. My god.
All right, but for now, everyone donate for this hour and a half because we're hard.
Yes, because we're done. That's it for us tonight.
Yeah.
We are still asking for people to do donations if you enjoyed the show or if you're just a person that lives on the earth. We've had a few donations that we want to do a big shout out to. So I hope you're listening if your name is said. Weston and Marissa McGarrigle, Ben M, Carla Ivonsky, Chris Johnson, Dave Klingerman, and Chantry Ann. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else who has donated, who's hung out with us, and stay safe out there.
Thanks, everybody.